Who is Joseph Stalin? Why is Stalin called Red Terror? Joseph Stalin was a Soviet politician and dictator who ruled the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953. He was born in Gori, Georgia in 1878 and initially became involved in revolutionary activities as a young man. Stalin rose to power in the Communist Party of the Soviet Union following the death of Vladimir Lenin in 1924. He became the General Secretary of the Communist Party and eventually consolidated power as the leader of the Soviet Union. Stalin is often referred to as the Red Terror, due to the brutal tactics he employed to suppress opposition and maintain control over the Soviet Union. During his reign, Stalin oversaw a series of political purges in which he eliminated anyone he perceived as a threat to his power. These purges targeted not only political opponents but also ordinary citizens, intellectuals, and even members of Stalin's own inner circle. One of the most notorious examples of Stalin's brutality was the Great Purge of the 1930s. During this period, Stalin used the secret police to carry out mass arrests and executions of alleged enemies of the state. It is estimated that up to 1 million people were killed during this time, with many more imprisoned or sent to forced labor camps. Stalin was also responsible for the forced collectivization of agriculture in the Soviet Union. This policy involved seizing land from individual farmers and forcing them to work on large collective farms. The policy was extremely unpopular, and many farmers resisted by slaughtering their own livestock and destroying crops. Stalin responded with brutal force, sending troops to confiscate grain and other food supplies and to execute anyone who resisted. Despite his reputation as a ruthless dictator, Stalin was also a charismatic leader who was revered by many in the Soviet Union. He was known for his ability to inspire loyalty among his followers and was seen as a champion of the working class. Stalin was also a shrewd politician who used propaganda and other tactics to maintain his grip on power. One of the most interesting aspects of Stalin's reign is the way in which he was able to shape the course of world history. Under Stalin's leadership, the Soviet Union became a major world power, challenging the dominance of the United States and other Western nations. Stalin's policies also had a profound impact on the course of the Second World War, with the Soviet Union playing a key role in defeating Nazi Germany. Despite his many accomplishments, however, Stalin's legacy is marred by the horrific atrocities he committed against his own people. The Red Terror remains one of the most brutal and repressive periods in modern history, and serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked political power. Here are 10 facts about Joseph Stalin. 1. Stalin's birth name was Yosef Vissarionis Dze Jugashvili, and he was born in Gori, Georgia, in 1878. 2. He suffered from smallpox as a child, which left him with pockmarks on his face. 3. Stalin was expelled from seminary school in Tbilisi for political activities and began organizing labor strikes. 4. He was a key player in the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, which overthrew the Russian monarchy and established the Soviet Union. 5. After Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin outmaneuvered his rivals to become the General Secretary of the Communist Party and eventually the leader of the Soviet Union. 6. Stalin's policies of forced collectivization and industrialization resulted in the deaths of millions of people due to famine, executions, and forced labor. 7. During Stalin's purges of the 1930s, many of his political rivals were accused of treason and executed or sent to labor camps. The purges also targeted intellectuals and artists. 8. Stalin signed a non-aggression pact with Nazi Germany in 1939, which allowed Hitler to invade Poland and start World War II. 9. Despite the pact, Stalin led the Soviet Union to victory over Nazi Germany, playing a crucial role in the defeat of Hitler's army. 10. Stalin died on March 5, 1953, from a stroke, and his body was embalmed and placed on display in Moscow's Red Square until 1961. Here are top 12 his Red Terror tragic or events by Stalin. 1. The Great Purge. This was a period of mass political repression in the Soviet Union from 1936 to 1938, during which Stalin's secret police carried out mass arrests, executions, and imprisonments of anyone perceived as a threat to Stalin's rule. Estimates suggest that as many as 1 million people were killed during the Great Purge. 2. The Ukrainian Holodomor. This was a famine that occurred in Ukraine from 1932 to 1933 as a result of Stalin's policy of forced collectivization of agriculture. It is estimated that between 3 and 7 million people died as a result of the famine. 3. The Katyn Massacre. In 1940, Soviet secret police executed around 22,000 Polish military officers and other prominent citizens in the Katyn forest in western Russia. The Soviet Union denied responsibility for the massacre until 1990. 4. The Gulag system. This was a network of forced labor camps that existed in the Soviet Union from the 1930s to the 1950s. Millions of people were imprisoned in the Gulag system, and many died as a result of starvation, disease, and brutal working conditions. 5. The Moscow trials. These were a series of show trials held in Moscow from 1936 to 1938, in which Stalin's political opponents were accused of treason and other crimes. Many of the accused were executed or imprisoned. 6. The Armenian genocide. In the 1930s, Stalin ordered the deportation of tens of thousands of Armenians from their homes in the Caucasus to Central Asia. Many died as a result of the harsh conditions of the journey and the poor living conditions in the new locations. 7. The Polish operation of the NKVD. In 1937 and 1938, the Soviet secret police carried out a mass operation against the Polish minority in the Soviet Union. Thousands were arrested and executed, and many more were deported to forced labor camps. 8. The Kirov murder. In 1934, Sergei Kirov, a leading member of the Communist Party and a close associate of Stalin, was assassinated in Leningrad. Stalin used the murder as a pretext for the Great Purge and used it to justify the execution of many of his political rivals. 9. The Red Army purge. In 1937 and 1938, Stalin carried out a purge of the Red Army, in which many high-ranking officers were accused of treason and executed. The purge weakened the Soviet military and made it vulnerable to attack during World War II. 10. The deportation of Crimean Tatars. In 1944, Stalin ordered the deportation of the Crimean Tatar population from the Crimean Peninsula to Central Asia. The population was accused of collaborating with the Nazis, and thousands died as a result of the deportation. 11. The Tukhachevsky affair. In 1937, Marshal Mikhail Tukhachevsky, a leading military commander and critic of Stalin, was accused of plotting to overthrow the Soviet government. He was executed, along with many of his colleagues. 12. The Doctors' Plot. In 1953, just before Stalin's death, a group of Soviet doctors, many of them Jewish, were accused of plotting to poison Soviet leaders. The plot was later revealed to be a fabrication designed to create a pretext for further anti-Semitic purges. In conclusion, Joseph Stalin was a Soviet politician and dictator who ruled with an iron fist, earning the nickname Red Terror, due to the brutal tactics he employed to maintain his power. Despite his many accomplishments, including leading the Soviet Union to victory in World War II, Stalin's legacy is forever tarnished by the horrific atrocities he committed against his own people. Here is a poem on Stalin's Red Terror. In the land of the hammer and sickle, where red banners flew high, a leader rose, his power fickle, and sent his foes to die. Stalin was his name. His rule was full of dread. His red terror brought shame, and left millions dead. Purges, famine, and strife. A ruthless reign of fear. The Soviet Union's life. In Stalin's grip, severe. The Great Purge was cruel. An era of mass arrest. For those deemed a political tool, their fate was sealed, no protest. The gulags were vast. A network of labor camps, where the innocent were cast, and forced to work like tramps. In the name of the state, families were torn apart, as deportations sealed their fate, and broke their beating hearts. The Katyn massacre was heinous. A secret Stalin could not keep. Polish officers, their fate grievous. Their graves in the woods lay deep. The Ukrainian Holodomor, a famine caused by Stalin's hand. Millions suffered, and many more perished in a brutal land. Stalin's Red Terror was a horror, a time of pain and strife. His legacy, a brutal conqueror, leaves scars on history's life. In the land of the hammer and sickle, where red banners flew high, Stalin's Red Terror, a dark pickle, left many to wonder and sigh. Start planning your next global adventure with ease and convenience with our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html $8 = 7989335 is a great choice to plan your next trip. You can find and book flights, hotels, cars, and local attractions all in one place, and their price match guarantee ensures you're getting the best deal. Thank you for kind support our Hub Metaverse channel, and please watch more interesting videos here.